The time is 6 p.m. on this, the 20th day of September to 2017. And I call this meeting of the United Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Ms. Oliveros, will you please call roll?
Yes, sir. Ramiro Vélez,
Present.
Rick Rodriguez,
Present.
Judd Gilpin,
Present.
Juan Roberto Ramirez,
Present.
Ricardo Molina,
Present.
Javier Montemayor,
Present.
Alicia Oliveros. We have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Could everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, Texas flag, and a moment of silence. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one
state, under God, one indivisible.
Please be seated. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Agenda item number 3, board announcements.
Yes, I have an issue. I understand there's been a complaint related to a human resources issue, Mr. Santos. I've heard a bit about it regarding somebody's promotion and whatnot. I think regarding the matter that I'm talking about, probably mostly appropriate to talk about in executive session sometime in the future. But I'd like to request that some policy be developed by Mr. Cruz, specifically looking into this matter. I think there's different things we can do policy-wise that maybe improve upon the situation. And I'd request that maybe a couple of other board members might join me in requesting that we have an item like that on the next agenda.
That'll be fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it'd have to be 3 board members, correct? for the
Correct.
next agenda?
3 board members, and we'll get an agenda item.
I'd be
Now-
willing to support that.
I have a motion, actually, Mr. President. I make a motion that we take out of order under item 7, consent agenda item 7G, which reads the approval of renaming the current Alexandra High School 9th grade campus located at 8800 McPherson Road to Troutman Middle School, and possibly renaming the current Troutman Middle School located to 8501 Curly Lane, effective 2018-19. I'd like to, if I can get a second, to move that out of order,
Second.
and I can make a short presentation if the board would allow.
There's
We have a motion and a second to move up agenda item 7G, so is there any discussion on that?
a discussion.
If not, then you have to proceed to
In
approve.
regard to
Motion to approve.
motion to
Oh,
approve.
I think Mr. Montemayor is going to give a presentation.
Right, we have a motion
to
and
move it,
second to move
yes.
it up, so
Okay.
all those in favor?
So,
So all those in favor? Approval, a motion passes. Mr. Montemayor, please.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Javier Montemayor. I am the District 5 board member for United ISD, and I am here present to make a short presentation on a recommendation on this item. I grew up in the United ISD area along with other board members here present, other individuals in this audience. At the time that I came about as a student for United ISD, there was three schools, Clark, Salinas, Nye, and Clark Middle School. And back then, we're nowhere even close to the technology that we have, nowhere even close to the population that we have as a school district. There's a gentleman that I'd like to introduce to you by the name of Elias Herrera. Mr. Herrera was born in Mexico, and he moved to Laredo from San Luis Potosí with his family. They were minors. They were part of 9 families that came to what is now the Del Mar area in North Laredo, North Webb County at the time. Back then, it was a farming community. It was an onion farm. All the way, from Carlton, what Carlton is and McPherson is and Del Mar Boulevard are now is nowhere close to what it looks like now. He was born in 1929. He settled in Laredo with his family, along with 9 other families. He attended Nye Elementary, located on then Santa Maria Avenue. He later attended LJ Christian High School and Martin High School, and he graduated in 1949. So for some of you who are Tigers, you know, he's a Tiger. While at Martin High School, he was involved, he lettered in football, track, and baseball. He was a baseball player with the community Sunday morning leagues back then. He also lettered in each and every one of those sports. He helped organize the Del Mar Little League, which is now the Del Mar Pony League. And he was the first coach of the Del Mar Senior Baseball League, which was called the Hawks back then. He was a man of many talents. He was a woodworker. He produced furniture. He was a photographer. He developed films. He was also a lapidarian, which is he worked with jewelry. He was an outdoorsman, and he loved to hunt, and he loved to work his ranch. He attended LJC. While attending LJC, he was a football player and a baseball player. He was also involved in track, was a member of and anchorman of the LJC mile relay team that held the Border Olympic record for many years. And he was the last living member of that team. He joined the United States Army and was a member of the 82nd Airborne Division, having more than 25 jumps to his credit. He attained the rank of corporal and was stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Fort Leonard Wood, Montana, Fort Pendleton, California, as well as other bases, including New York. He served in the Vietnam conflict, and he was honorably discharged in 1955. He attended Texas A&M University in Kingsville under the GI Bill, and he was obtaining his degree in engineering, but he instead obtained his degree in education. He also pursued a master's degree in education and and obtained his superintendent certificate. He was hired as a teacher in 1957 by what is now or then the Nye Common School District, located on Santa Maria. He taught 4th, 5th, and 6th grade in one classroom, and his supplies consisted of 4th, 5th, and 6th grade textbooks, 2 pieces of chalk, a chalkboard, and an eraser. Back then, we had Nye Elementary, Cactus Elementary, Johnson Masterson Elementary. Those schools were to consolidate at one time. Nye Common School District did not want to consolidate with what is now Webb County School District. Elias Herrera and a lady that we know as Amparo Gutierrez worked together, approaching the ranching families then to oppose the election of joining Webb County Consolidated, and instead they became United Consolidated Independent School District. They were situated, the main offices of United Consolidated Independent School District were situated on Del Mar Boulevard, what is now Nye Elementary School. The Herreras owned the home, which sits on top of the hill where the current police department is. Mr. Herrera served as principal of Nye Elementary. He served to an assistant named William Malish, the first superintendent of the school districts, and later Mr. Harold Brantley, which we now have a hall called Brantley Hall. Both superintendents moved, and Mr. Herrera later became the interim superintendent serving United Independent School District administratively and as the assistant superintendent. I served as the district's central office and also the district's first and only junior high school. He initiated the Longhorn mascot for the district. He began the Longhorn Annual and served as its only photographer. He was a school coach, a bus driver, as well as helping out in the lunchroom serving meals. Every day, at each time, every school prepared meals for their students, and he helped cook, and he helped serve the students, and he helped clean up when everybody was done. At that time, United consisted of 400 students. During United's formative years, Mr. Herrera initiated and administrated several departments. He was not only the first principal of Nye Elementary School, also the only principal of Nye Junior High School. He was the first principal for the bilingual program in Texas, director of bilingual adult education programs at United, director of the lunch programs for United, director of the manpower programs for United, director of transportation, director of maintenance and janitorial services, director of school district elections, district's disciplinary hearing officer, district certified asbestos supervisor, interim athletics director, assistant superintendent, director of support services, director of of purchasing and moving of portable buildings, which we could certainly use today. These were just some of the many hats that he wore during his tenure with United. He began the Field of Dreams program, which is now what we come to know as our athletic program. He started the baseball program for United as well, and he took the lead on multiple tasks throughout the district. Athletics always had a special place in Mr. Herrera's heart. His influence in the community, but specifically United ISD, was chronicled in various articles in the Laredo Morning Times throughout his career. And one specifically depicts his desire to give students at United ISD the same opportunity that he had. He had 9 children. All of them were graduates of United ISD. All of them were college educated, and all of them are successful individuals, and one we just recognized last year at our United Longhorn Legends. Because of this belief, Mr. Herrera embraced his love for teaching. He embraced innovative strategies, ideas, and approaches to teaching, which weren't conventional at the time. Long before we had collaborative classrooms, Mr. Herrera practiced multi-level open concept teaching, and he dabbled in different successful educational traits. Again, he pioneered the bilingual programs in Texas. He was an outstanding principal and served as interim superintendent. These are some of his keys to success: coach, lunch server, bus driver, principal of Nye Junior High School. He retired in 1997 after 40 years of service to the United Independent School District. Mr. Herrera believed that Laredo had a potential for growth beyond the small city it once was. He was a humble person from humble beginnings, and he saw United multiply and expand quickly. Mr. Herrera not only believed that United would grow, he also believed wholeheartedly that the students of United ISD had the potential and talent to succeed. It was this belief that motivated him to inspire, influence, and educate the community we live in today. United ISD was forever changed because of Mr. Herrera's hard work, his vision, and his desire to put United ISD at the forefront of education in Laredo. We have a committee process that we go through to name and pick names for schools. I asked the board to suspend that process because I think Mr. Herrera's dedication to United ISD is well documented, and we have lost a lot of our ways, a lot of our history. A lot of people don't know who Mr. Herrera was. We recognized an individual by the name of Salas last year. Mr. Herrera is on the same footing that Salas was back then. I think it's only fitting that I recommend to this board that the Troutman Middle School, where it's currently at, that it be moved to what is currently the Alexander 9th grade campus. Let that be Troutman Middle School, and let that school feed into United High School. Where the current Troutman Middle School currently sits on Curly Lane, that be renamed to the Elias Herrera Middle School, and let that forever be his memory of Mr. Herrera, discussing different mascots. Ms. Rendon and I jokingly said, hey, Herrera Hawks sounds really good, but we didn't know what to name it. So I'm a big believer in signs, and I was reading an article that the Laredo Morning Times had written about Mr. Herrera. And it talked about he was a baseball player with the Sunday Morning League, played more than 35 years with various local baseball clubs. These experiences led him to be an organizer and coach of the Del Mar Little League, and was the first coach of the Del Mar Senior Baseball League's famous Hawks. So I think it's only fitting that, without picking the colors, that the current Traubman Middle School, soon to be moved, that campus be named Elias Herrera Middle School Hawks. So that's my motion.
I second that.
Second that?
I second the motion.
Okay, motion?
Okay, he's got the motion.
Yes,
Motion
yes.
second?
Just for point of clarification, so the motion on the floor would be that the board would be approving to rename the current Alexander High School 9th grade campus located at 8800 McPherson Road to Traubman Middle School, and rename the current Traubman Middle School located at 8501 Curly Lane, effective the 2018-19 school year, to Elias R. Herrera Middle School, including waiver of board policy CW local. That would be that's the motion, and I think there's been a second, so you would need to
Any discussion?
vote. Yeah.
All those in favor? Motion passes.
I'd like to go back to the elements back in external communications.
Yeah.
Anyway, the communications part of this provides an opportunity for board members to bring up issues, and my issue that I was bringing up, to be more specific, involves an allegation of coercion in the workplace against one of our board members. And the particular workplace is a police department. So I have a lot of concerns with it. I'd like to get an item on the next agenda to specifically look at policy that will allow the board to have more control of how those types of interactions occur. And to do that, I need 2 other board members that would be interested in looking at some policy. Now, as I understand it, this type of policy is not that unusual. I've conferred with our attorney, Juan Cruz, earlier. You do have examples of policy that we could look at from other school districts, correct?
Correct. We could get board operating procedures, which a lot of school districts have, and United does not. We can kind of put them together and bring them to the board for review.
All right, okay, well, that'd be great if we could do that, but like I said, I need 2 other board members that would support that, so I think, is that the case that you would support that, Elisa? Catalan, so that's 2. And the second thing I'd like to do is I'd like to be provided contact information for the appropriate outside law enforcement agency, which I believe is the Texas Rangers, to begin looking at the possibility of getting an independent look at this. If you could find out the appropriate contact for that, Mr. Santos, and disseminate that to the board, I think it'll allow people to individually investigate that and see if they want to do that. I think the appropriate way to do something like that would be with an item on the next agenda if it's decided that somebody wants to pursue that. I personally think it's a little bit premature to do that right now because we haven't looked into it. It would take 3 board members, but I'm going to begin looking into it myself, and if you can provide the appropriate contact information, I'd appreciate it. Can you get that to us, Mr. Santos?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other announcements from the board? No announcements. Agenda item number 4, recognitions. Mr. Santos?
Yes, Mr. Ramirez, members of the board, if you all can join me at the front, that's time of the agenda that we are able to recognize our employees, our students, and our community. If you all can join me at the front, please.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr. Santos, members of the audience. This evening, we have the pleasure, the Texas Association of Texas of School Administrators, TASA, recently announced 3 outstanding secondary teachers across Texas who were chosen as finalists for the 2018 Texas Teacher of the Year program. We are absolutely elated to announce UISD's very own Ms. Andrea Garza was one of the finalists for this award. Ms. Garza teaches 10th grade, world history at United South High School, and is the most recent recipient of both United ISD's Secondary Teacher of the Year and Region 1's District Secondary of the Year. Ms. Garza has been educated for the last 11 years, and she states, "I believe in the power of education, the potential of every student. who she not only teaches world history and serves as the Social Studies Department Chair at United South High School. In other words, another round of applause for Ms. Garza. To our USMO board members, Mr. Santos, this time we have our South Texas Blood and Tissue Center making a presentation to UISD. And again, Ms. Guzman from the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center and present to UISD and also United High School. We have our United High School administration also joining us. And to recognize United High School, they were the highest donor for blood and tissue in our district. So again, thank you, United High School. I'm going to ask United High School administration to stay on the stage at this time. Members of the board, Mr. Santos, members of the audience, at this time, it's a great pleasure to announce the National Council of Geographic Education recognized United High School's teacher, Ms. Rosa Salazar, with the K-12 Distinguished Teaching Award at a special ceremony held during the 2017 National Conference on Geography Education in Albuquerque, New Mexico. She is one of only 8 educators from across the nation to receive this award. Congratulations.
Good evening, board members, Mr. Santos, members of the community. It is with great pride that we recognize one of UISD's own. Every year, the Texas Association of School Boards, or otherwise known as TASB, recognizes excellence in several categories, and one of them is journalism and writing. For 2017, it is with great pride that we honor from the Laredo Morning Times and Clark Middle School teacher, Ms. Clara Sandoval. Ms. Sandoval was chosen as a TASPI 2017 Media Honor Roll honoree. She can be found on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays at any game, writing about our schools, not only our schools, but all Laredo schools. In addition, she's a teacher and coach at Clark Middle School, and she's accompanied with her principal, Ms. Melissa Ramirez. Congratulations.
At this time, United ISD would like to congratulate two students from United High School. If I can have United High School administration up on our stage again. At this time, I want to recognize students Jose Pepe Arizola and Mariana Flores. These two future educators represented their campus at the 2017 Educators Rising National Competition in Phoenix, Arizona. Arizola is the president of the Tech Association of Future Teachers at United High School and the class of 2018 treasurer. Ms. Flores is the club secretary. Both students landed fourth place awards after illustrating some of the innovative strategies employed by their school. Individually, Arizola won 10th place in the job interview competition, and Flores took second place in the children's book, and she wrote and illustrated. Again, future teachers.
And for the next category, in an effort to challenge students and staff to try new foods that are offered in school cafeterias across the nation, the Texas Department of Agriculture sponsors campaigns and art contests to promote You Are What You Eat campaign. This campaign was started during National School Lunch Week, and the theme selected was Rock the Day with a Healthy School Lunch. We are proud to announce that we had two state winners from this contest. From Matias de Llano Elementary, Emilia Davila, first place elementary school category at the state level. Congratulations. And also, in that same contest, in the middle school and high school division, winning in the National School Lunch Week category, we have from J.B. Alexander High School, and their teacher would like to present to you Karina Cruz and her art teacher, Ms. Sandra Gonzalez. As they get ready to take the picture, we'd like to say that the artwork will be displayed at the Texas State Capitol in March of 2018. Congratulations. In the spring of 2017, the Trautman Middle School Varsity Band, under the direction of Jorge Garcia and Assistant Band Director Cristian Lira, advanced to the Texas Music Educators Association State Honor Band Competition. This is the fourth time the band has achieved this goal. We'd like to say that this is the only middle school band in Laredo that has accomplished this milestone. To advance to the state level, the band had to compete at the region and area levels. At these two respective competitions, the Trautman Middle School Honors Band placed first. The Trautman Middle School Band CD recording was auditioned at the state level on July 20th, 2017 in San Antonio, along with 15 other CCC middle school bands in the state. A panel of 5 judges ranked each band's performance, and the TMS Honor Band placed number 8 in the state, the highest ranking to date for the band. Besides its great honor, on Thursday, September 14, Mr. Santos received a letter informing him that the 2017 Trautman Middle School Honors Band was selected as a national winner in the Mark of Excellence National Wind Band Competition from 38 states and a total of 278 groups that entered. Only 44 were selected for this great honor. Trautman Middle School Honors Bands now ranks amongst the best in our country. We are very proud for this outstanding accomplishment. Congratulations, Leti Menchaca, Principal, Band Director Jorge Luis Garcia, Assistant Director Cristian Lira. You're hearing a recording of the winning competition. Congratulations, Trautman Middle School. This concludes our board recognitions. Thank you.
Déjame enfermeros. 3, 4. Agenda item number 5, Superintendent's Report. Mr. Santos.
Nothing today, sir.
Nothing today.
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Agenda item 6, public comments.
There are no public comments.
No public comments.
No public comments. Agenda item 7,
Sir, Mr. President, the Business and Instructional Committee met this month. Make a motion to approve item A through M.
Second.
There needs to be, the item was already covered, excluded, no?
Right?
7G.
7G was already taken care of, so, okay.
Let me correct it. I'll make an item to approve item A through M with the exception of
Second, okay. Those in favor?
Mr.
Motion passes.
Ramirez, if I may, there's several other discretionary funds requests that I would like to read into the record.
Go ahead, sir.
The first request is from United Middle School, Mrs. Becky Morales, principal, sponsored by Mr. Javier Montemayor, for PBIS and perfect attendance teacher student incentives, the amount of $2,000. A second request from United Middle School, sponsored by Mr. Ricardo Molina, to purchase a STEM curriculum program, including professional development technology, in the amount of $8,000. A request from Los Obispos Middle School, Jessica Salazar, principal, sponsored by Mr. Ricardo Molina, for some school benches in the amount of $8,000. A second request from Los Obispos Middle School, Jessica Salazar, sponsored by Mr. Ramiro Vélez, for school furniture in the amount of $5,000. A request from the United ISD Police Department, Chief Ray Garner, requester, sponsored by Mr. Ricardo Molina, Ramiro Vélez, and Mr. Ricardo Rodriguez, for Under Armour boots in the amount of $5,904. A request from Clark Middle School, Melissa Ramirez, requesting, sponsored by Mr. Ricardo Molina Sr., $2,000 for speaker microphone system for events in the gym, and $2,000 for faculty, staff, teacher incentives, total of $4,000. A request from Veterans Memorial Elementary, Ida Serna Ramirez, requester, sponsored by Mr. Ramiro Vélez III, for library books and novels, $3,241.55. And finally, a request from Finley Elementary, Joe Garza, principal, sponsored by Mr. Juan Roberto Ramirez, to replace existing tables and chairs in the library in the amount of $15,320.
Could there be a motion to approve that?
Okay, my motion will be approve item A through M with the exception of item G, and also adding the discretionary funds to this motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes. Any discussion? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Agenda item 8, approval of donations.
Yes, Mr. Ramirez, members of the board, it is recommended that the board trustees graciously accept the following donations, and this will be attached to the minutes. The following donations are $1,000 or more. We have 3 from different people. Number 1 is United South Middle School cheerleaders receive a donation of $4,975 from United South Middle Booster Club to be used to pay for summer camp at UTSA. UISD Communication Department received a donation of $1,540 from Southern Sanitation to sponsor the 2017 Media Luncheon held at La Posada on Tuesday, September the 5th. UISD Communication Department received the following donations for the UISD Golf Tournament, which is for the Partners with Scholars. $1,000 from 40 Ferry LCC, $1,000 from Johnstone Supply, $1,000 from Laredo Sports Medicine, $1,000 from Cantu Safety Consultants, $2,000 from Patria Office Supply. Then we had 9 additional donations under $1,000 this month for a grand total of $15,166.39 that we graciously accept, and want to thank these business partners that want to partner with our schools.
Is there a motion? Okay, second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes. Item 8B, approval of board minutes for the month of June and August 2017.
Recommendation is to approve those board minutes.
I move to approve the
Second.
the minutes.
There's a motion, there's a second. Any discussion? Motion passes.
Yep.
Excuse me. All those in favor? Motion passes. Excuse me. Item 8C, nomination of candidates to the Board of Directors of the Wake County Appraisal District.
Monica's going to read an item on the Webb County Appraisal District. As you know, you have Judd and Mr. Ramirez on the appraisal, so she's going to read those two names. If anybody wants to add another board member or nominate somebody else from the board, then you can do so at that time, but she'll read the resolution, including Judd and Mr. Ramirez's name, and then you all can take your vote from there.
I'll make a
Well, she needs to read the resolution.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Whereas the United Independent School District is participating entity in the Webb County Appraisal District, and whereas the United Independent School District is entitled to nominate candidates for the Board of Directors of the Webb County Appraisal District, now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Board of Trustees of the United Independent School District that the following names be nominated as candidates: Mr. Judd Gilpin, Mr. Juan Roberto Ramirez, passed by the Board of Trustees this 20th day of September 2017. Are there any more candidates to nominate?
Yes, ma'am.
At a later time, we'll bring the resolution to cast the votes. This is just to nominate candidates for the ballot.
Okay, I make a nomination for Mr. Oliveros
Okay?
to take the position of Mr. Juan Roberto Ramirez.
Okay. So we'll have Mr. Judd
Right.
Gilpin, Ms. Oliveros, and Mr. Ramirez?
No, it would
No,
just be Judd
just-
Gilpin and Alisa Luiveros.
Okay. All right.
Is there a,
I second.
okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 9, closed session. The time is now 6:44, excuse me, and the board will be adjourned into closed session pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code to discuss agenda item 9. We'll be back in about an hour. Agenda item 10, reconvene from closed session. The time is now 7:45, and the board will take appropriate action on items, if necessary, as discussed in closed session.
Recommendation on agenda item 10A is to approve the voluntary resignation agreement and release, including rescission of proposed termination of Gerardo Alba's probationary contract.
Move to accept recommendation.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes.
Agenda item 10B, the recommendation is to approve the settlement agreement and release, including rescission of proposed termination of Patricia Sainz's term contract.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve recommendation.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes.
Recommendation on agenda item 10C is to table.
Move to table
Is there a
item.
motion? Move to, there was a move to table it. Is there a motion to table it?
Second.
Okay, if there's any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes. Agenda item 11, time to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?